Hello and welcome to Omakase Livestream on another webinar. This time we're going to talk about casting and live streaming equipment. So as you can see already, I have a microphone standing here. This is a blue Yeti, as you might recognize, and I have a microphone here in my hand. Usually I would have this on a boom or stand, so I have my hands free. The reason why I'm not doing this today is because I want to show as much variety as I can. And I have a lot of equipment set up, which is also why there was a slight delay with the webinar start. But that should not hold us back of talking about what's going on here and what we can do, right? So right now we are streaming on a Logitech camera, which is the go-to model for a lot of people. It's called a C922 Pro. It's the go-to unit because of the 1080p HD graphic stream processing quality, and because it's very compact, and I'm going to show you how compact it is and how well it signs up actually as soon as I have switch over to my camera that I have as ready. So when you're talking about audio and video equipment, you have to first focus on your budget. You can do with as little as, let's say, $200, get a semi-professional setup, or you can spend as much as $10,000. It's all about how much you can spend or want to spend and how professional you want it to sound. So for example, like right now, this equipment that you are hearing and seeing. The webcam is about $100, maybe $130 now since the quarantine due to supply and demand issues. The microphone is brand new, 100. If you buy it used like I did on OfferUp or Craigslist or so, you can pick up one for like $60 or $70. And for the mixer, I'm going to show that to you in a moment too. The mixer is about, I want to say $150. So all in all, we're talking here, everything brand new. The mixer might be $200. So we're talking 200, 100, 100. So you had $400. And that gets you going with a lot of things, especially game streaming. And if you're only doing podcasting, which we are also going to cover a little bit more detail, you don't even need a camera. So now you're looking at $300 before cables and accessories you might want, like I mentioned, a boom before, or maybe trial and error microphones, because like I started with a Blue Yeti, like most of us guys. And now that I have this Shure SM58, I start realizing that might not be the best choice out there. So what makes each brand, product, and everything else in between different and unique? You have to look at what is your setup. So what makes the Yeti so attractive is that it has relatively good sound quality for $100 or like $150, whatever they go for these days. So good sound quality, and even more importantly, it's USB powered. So all you need to do is plug this guy into your laptop, into your PC, and you're good to go. You can use free recording software like Audacity, AUDACITY, as audio recording software, and also for editing. It's super popular with podcasters, be it starters and a little bit more advanced, because it offers you a lot of choices and tools. You just have to learn. And that is also one thing I'm going to reiterate like a million times during this live stream, during this webinar from Omakase PCs, is you have to be willing to learn. The more willing you're to learn, the better it is, because there is so much. And I've been doing this for a while, and I'm still learning every other week something new about either the podcasting audio equipment side of things or the video equipment side of things. It's definitely an interesting journey, and especially also content creation wise, it's only growing. The quarantine obviously was a huge influencer on that, with a lot of people being bored and needing to escape from being stuck indoors and not being able to do anything. So in a way, even before COVID-19 and everything else, the podcast industry started booming like there was no tomorrow. More and more bigger media companies getting into it, big corporations starting their own podcasts about the products, about tech support, even involving specialists in the field that are independent from other bigger companies and just wanting to spread knowledge about their expertise. So, to keep this a little bit more structured, I'm gonna keep talking about the podcasting equipment first, and then we're gonna go over to live streaming, especially for you gamers out there, or our exclusive sponsee, Malgenics, who is actually our main reason why we even having this session, because it's interesting on when I listened and watched his stream, I expected much more professional equipment, and because of his talent, he is able to take a lower quality equipment to a new level because there's also the human component and just some technique, speech, those kind of things that you have to learn in order to get the most of your equipment. It's kind of imagining somebody that never went fishing and you give them a $2,000 fishing rod, the best bait, this, then the third, 30-foot boat out in the ocean, right off the coast of Florida here, right? And it's like he might not be able to catch anything because he doesn't have the skill set yet to use all this equipment. And with this audio equipment and also with video equipment, it's no different. So it's pretty simple. So for example, the cool thing is what I love about the Shure SM58 is like there's no on-off button. As you can see, there is nothing. And you might also be wondering why do I hold it like this, like level with my mouth, and not like how you would expect like this. As you might have heard, as I go like this, the audio is kind of weird, and also gets like all in my face. It doesn't look good, and it blocks my face, my mouth. So most of these microphones, including the Yeti, a lot of beginner mistakes is that they want the microphone to point at their face like this, but you don't do this. You keep it like this because all the I forget the technical term, so apologies. But there's these audio receptors, let's just call them that for the time being, that capture all the audio, and they are actually designed to capture it here on the top of the microphone head, so to speak, not on the front. So it's capturing all around. And on the Yeti, the interesting thing is actually that we have different settings here. I'm putting it in the screen. You can see where the dial is. The white dial right now is on that's called a cardioid. The setting itself, cardioid, not sure. Sorry, I forget some of those technical terms because it's a lot of trial and error and just working on it. And I'm not dealing with enough people in the field, because it's not like I went to sound engineering school or grew up in a radio technician environment. I am self-learned, which is why I'm bringing this knowledge to you, because I have this cool benefit, at least I call it a benefit, of not having this experience in any school setting or any club setting. I kind of like dove into this out of curiosity because of all these streamers. You have people like Malgenics, you have more famous people like Ninja, PewDiePie, and all those other people. And I just was interested in like, what does it take to get that? And apparently it only takes like $200 or $300 and a lot of comedic talent, which I, as a German, sadly don't have. But to go back to these settings here. So you can see you have 4 settings. The first one on this side, the first one is like for partners. So it means that first setting, it's going to pick up all round sound, and I'm going to demonstrate it later or in a little moment here. The second setting is a full circle, which means it's going to grab all around with the intent of grabbing also left and right. The first setting is only pretty much back and forth, which is great if you have a 2-people interview, but you only have 1 microphone. The third option, which is currently selected, is focused on the frontal part. And the frontal part being this is low, so it covers my side, and to the back it's trying to collect as little as possible, which is obviously for podcasting as a solo recorder, so intended. And for the last setting is another link setting where it grabs it the other way. So one grabs it left and right, the other one grabs it back and forth. Pretty straightforward. There's little pictograms, they help. And the other setting you saw, the gain, is actually adjusting how much can it pick up. So when you're talking about that, you're mostly talking about the volume, which I'm going to demonstrate here now. So I'm going to pull up the gain more and more and more and more. And now it sounds like really, really robotic static because you can hear too much. So I'm going to process this back down. And I'm watching also a little pop-up on my screen that I have thanks to Restream. And I'm watching these green bars and on my mixer, which I'm going to show you in a moment too here. I also can keep an eye on my levels, and you want to always make sure to stay in the green. Worst case scenario, go into the yellow when you increase your voice, and never hit the red. Red is bad, like in pretty much 90% of things we experience in life, right? Stop signs, red lights, such like. And the other thing I have a control of is my main mixer like this. So now you cannot hear me. There it should. So this should be much better now again. So I have a lot of control just on my mixing board that I'm going to show here, which by the way is a Behringer Q802 USB. They also make a more affordable version called the Behringer Q502. And they make a USB and non-USB version. Tend to get the USB version since you're probably going to use this for a PC or laptop like I am. Other than that, let's go and put this microphone on mute and turn the Yeti on, and then you can start hearing the differences and why I prefer the Shure, because it's a quick fun fact on the Shure SM58. The reason why I picked it is because Shure is one of the leading microphone brands out there in the market, and the SM58 in particular has been made for vocalists, for singing. So if singers use this, clearly this has to be good for voice recording. I mean, I know I don't have the voice of an angel like a lot of singers do, but this will get your audio better recorded than most things. Also, one thing to keep in mind, I just did that and I want to bring it up to you, is if you never had a microphone, you have to start getting comfortable with it, which means if you have a boom, don't slap the table, the vibrations can be picked up, or like what I just did is this. So me tapping the microphone handle is vibrating inside and is picking that up as a sound and gives it back to you or the listener. You don't want that. You just have to be a little bit mindful when you hold a microphone. You have to maybe get a little bit more comfortable or train it. I was stiff as a board and really weird talking when I first had it because I never had one. So it was a really strange experience. But anyway, so I'm going to turn this off and turn the Yeti on. So give me one moment here. So here we go. Back on duty here. So as you can hear probably, there is a lot of background noise going on, mostly like my computer fan. You can actually hear that. And so the benefit you get with more expensive microphones is they have a better sound isolation and what you actually want to hear, versus cheaper microphones or just not as professional recording equipment like the Blue Yeti, even though it's pretty solid and very favorite with a lot of streamers, with a lot of starting podcasters. The problem with it is that it picks up so much background noise compared to my Shure SM58, and both have a phone cover on. And the funny thing is, the Shure is smaller, so you might think, oh, it's worse because it's smaller. But the thing is that the Yeti is doing all sorts of things. It's doing recording, I have the gain settings, I have the cardio settings, and then it goes in USB, transits everything, and so on. Also, one thing that you might notice is I have two headphones on. I have my headphones. Let's see that way. and actual Apple earbuds in. So you might be like, oh, what's wrong with this crazy person? The reason is because I didn't find a way to splice my Yeti into my mix board. So I'm listening to the Yeti separately on the earbuds through the same port here. And you always want to listen to yourself. So with the Yeti, the great thing is that it has a straight input for the earbuds or headphones, so you don't hear any delay. Downside is that in case you want to also listen to gaming sounds or so, you're gonna have to find a way to put it into the PC and then listen to yourself and then deal with a potential delay, which can throw you off because you hear yourself as an echo as you speak and shortly after. If you put it straight in here, then you get it live feedback. It's hard to explain, really. You just have to kind of play with it. And I felt really, really silly until I figured out, like, wait a moment, the echo is not supposed to be there, which was beginner's mistake. So please don't do that mistake and up your game by listening to yourself from the get-go. The other thing is USB. That just goes straight into your PC, and then you set up the Yeti as the recording tool, and you're good to go from there. Other than that, I have a gain setting kind of like on my mixer, so I can ramp this up all the way so I'm really loud, or keep it reasonable levels. The other thing is I have a volume level which doesn't affect you. It only goes into the earphones, which is very practical in case you really want to hear yourself without blowing the volume out of the water. So let's talk about my mixer. I'm gonna put the Yeti to the side, so I'm gonna unplug my earbuds because I think you might enjoy listening to the rest of this webinar on my Shure a little bit more than on my Yeti. So let me quickly change my settings here. All right, here we are back again. Oh yeah, that sounds so much better. So much clearer sound, much less background noise, and more comfortable for my ears on having only one pair of headphones on. So now you're wondering of how do I get the audio from here into there. So let me quickly see if I can change my camera here. No, okay. So I'm just gonna grab my webcam. So I'll take you here on a journey. So sideway view. So here's my Yeti. That's a Space Marine. Cool dragon. And then here's the video live stream. So this is a cool effect. And then here we have the mixer. So this looks very, very confusing maybe for beginners. Let me refix that here. So, and here comes the autofocus. And I also have my, we're gonna talk about this handy cam here in a little bit. So let me put that to the side. So this is the mixer, my Behringer. It's called a Behringer Xenix Xenyx Q802 USB. It's a very mouthful. If you just look Q802, you're gonna be fine. Oh. See, the reason why I like usually boom is because I would have this hand here free. But oh well. So here, this is the motherboard of podcasting. So you have XLR connections. I forget what it stands for. I just know it's very much standard for audio equipment. So you have here 2 XLR lines, and then you have actually microphone number 3 and 4 in here, which you also can control with the dials down here. As you can see, we marked off some stuff from a previous recording because I don't like writing on my equipment. I like instant marking it with like a temporary tape that I can just remove once the recording's done. I use color tape to identify what I need or block off certain plugs that I don't want to mess me up. So XLR is standard for all microphones pretty much, or all professionals really. So you want definitely board with XLR. That's also going to make your quality much better because it's analog and really captures the raw data. So the other thing is with XLR, you see how thick the cable is compared to, let's say, your headphone jack, like over here, and compared to USB. it has much more durability, and you're also going to be more careful because since it's analog, it's going to be much more sensitive towards damage. And then what's going on over here is you have like, why is there something plugged in? Going here and then into my actual headphones, because here's my headphones. Of course, it's on the other side, but my headphones are basically connected right into here, so I can hear myself talk. So I know what I sound like to you, so I know I can sound good, and that I'm not like too loud, too quiet, or just sound straight out terrible, as to make sure there's no weird noise in the background. So this is your main out. You just want to make sure you listen to yourself. Your USB that actually goes to computers back here. And then what else is going on is that you have technically the ability to put headphones in there. I just don't like using it, so I blocked it off because I had some issues in the past with that. Then you have control room. The control room is basically in case you have a really complex studio and it would be like a remote person that is just sitting in the control station where they can see everything. You could connect the audio out there. And then the main out, which is pretty much like a collected signal in case you have multiple different things coming in, and then you want it to come out as one signal. I'm not gonna go too much into it because it's a lot of more advanced stuff. The basics is you have your audio coming in through the microphone jacks, which you can either use with these plugs, which I believe are I forget what they are. I think they're 1/4 inch, but I'm not sure. Just have enough adapters, and I'm gonna go over that too in a little bit. But anyway, you want to make sure you have your XLR microphone, like a Shure SM58 or Sennheiser. Sennheiser is also a really good brand. So now this is recording my audio, as you can maybe see here as I speak. There's my audio levels. And then you want to make sure these buttons, like I put here on the sticky note, that they're always up, because this is, for example, to main mix. So the main mix is pretty much like all these controls are combining the audio into one, and then that goes into the USB and into the PC. So if I hit this button, you're not going to hear me. So as I was just saying, well, you couldn't hear me. The lights you might have still observed, going up, but without any audio coming through. So it's because the main mix is controlling whether or not to send the audio signal all the way through. Now you have a lot of other cool fancy buttons over here, and I know you can't see the buttons, so let me move you guys again. So here you are. So you have like compression settings, equalizer for high, medium, low, and the FX and main. Okay, let me trigger the autofocus. There we go. Okay, so again on the left here, equalizer. That's pretty much like you can autocorrect somebody's volume in case, for example, their high tones are too loud. You can dial that down by frequency itself. Same with medium and low. Typically, everything is good if you leave it at the middle, like on the second lane you can see here. The compression, we just figured out from trial and error, always put it all the way to the top. It brings your frequencies in a little bit closer and makes you sound more consistent. And then you have this panning here, which is really how sensitive it is to picking up noise from left or right, which makes sense in a stereo-like environment. And then you have here this level here, and that is gonna adjust how loud or quiet I am. So this is good for individual adjustment, which is where you have all 4 microphones on their own little thing, so that you can adjust the speaker on the go. This is especially important if you are dealing with people you haven't interviewed before, like guests or so, because it allows you to adjust their volume or how they sound on the fly very easily. So now this is really it about podcasting equipment. Quick tips is Cable Matters is a really good cable brand when it comes to XLR. So you can even see it here, and they even put it there on the little sleeve. And the reason why I say that is because the thing is with cables is a lot of people assume that the cable is not that important. Well, the problem is with audio and visual equipment, it is. If you would get a bad cable, you could catch a lot of static or just low quality issues. So you want to make sure you get high quality brand equipment, or at least reputable. So try to stay away from like eBay and Amazon when it comes to cables. I mean, a lot of the cables you're talking about, like $5, except if you go like 25-foot or like the XLR cables. The XLR cables are a little bit more pricey, so take good care of them and they will take good care of you. If you ever need any audio equipment, I recommend Sweetwater. I mean, I trust them so much. I put a sticker on my mixer. I didn't get it like that. I chose to put a sticker on there to show off that I am in the know. Sweet, of course that happened. Sorry about that. Let me put my microphone down. So much for taking care of your equipment, right? So anyway, Sweetwater is a really great brand of an e-commerce store for audio equipment, especially cables and accessories. They have every little adapter you need. And I want to bring in here some adapters on the side so you can get a taste of what you mean adapters and why would you care. This, for example, is about 25, maybe 50 foot, which is just an extender. So you put a 3.5 millimeter, I believe this is it. This is in here, and then you can lay really long cable. Another example I have is a male to male. So like if you are not into the podcasting stuff yet or any audiovisual equipment stuff, you're like, why would you want a medium, I mean by male plug? Well, the reason is depending on how much you adapt or what you connect, you might quite need that. Other adapters that I'm using here right now, for example, is also, here, let me take the camera again, is here, this RCA cable, which is my main in out. It actually is adapted to go into my headphones with this guy. So there's an adapter right there. And the guy who taught me, who mentors me, and I'm also partnering with to make some side projects happen, he always told me as a advice is have every adapter twice. The reason is because you might misplace one, you might lose one, you might have it in the wrong bag. So always have your adapters handy, especially if you absolutely require them. Other ones I have, for example, is another. I wish I had my second hand right here. Another male by male, but much shorter. So this is only like 3 foot, and that's especially good for small, just jumper connections. Then other stuff you have is like these guys, which are like a 3.5 connector to these 1/4 inch guys, well, which is especially going to into your mix board. You might never know when you need one of those. I have a ton more of adapters. I just have them in my other studio, not here. And then, for example, you also come across stuff like if you get into live streaming adapters like this. This is actually a micro and mini HDMI cable to regular HDMI is female, so you can pretty much like hook up the camera, which I'm going to demonstrate here in a moment. What's going on with that? There's just so many different adapters. The more you can get your hands on, the better it is. That's why I label, by the way, everything. You might have noticed it throughout the stream, but almost every cable has some sort of label. Let me go zoom in here again. Like, oops. Like my mixer has a cable. The adapter here has a label. Then my main XLR cable has a label. My Elgato game capture has a label. Pretty much everything here has a label that at any given point is taken along. This includes also, for example, my camera. Camera also has my name on there, Andres Lopez. And the reason is with all that is just to make sure if you especially share your equipment or you're having guests that everybody's grabbing their own stuff. It's rare, but sometimes you tend to have the exact same cable or they're just generic black cables when you don't know anymore who is whose, and they can lead to quite some issues. So always label your stuff. What I use is this guy here. It's a brother. Let me put the camera back in a position where I can properly demonstrate. That's very tricky with one hand. Okay, so I'm gonna keep this nice and low here so we can take a look at the brother. This is a brother P-Touch. Not to make advertisement or anything, but this thing is great. The roll just went empty for the first time since I had it about 2 days ago. And so it works really simple. Like I press the end button, and then let's say I want to make a label called Omakase PCs, right? So I just type in here OMAKSE space PC. So as you might see on the display here, I just typed in Omakase PC. Here we go. That's better. So I typed it in with this keyboard down here, and I didn't change any of the settings. I have it on 1.4 inch, as you might be able to see here. That determines the label length. So let's print one. Makes a little bit of sound, nothing crazy. Says please wait, please cut. All right. So we press this button here. And ta-da, we have a label. It says Omakase PC on there. So now we have a label. This is how easy it is. So, and I said I made with this probably 100 or so of them. And the cool thing is that you can make them different styles. So for example, I can hit here a different button instead of text. I can hit here like cable wrap. So I have now set cable wrap. Let's say it's 0.3 inches just to keep it small. And I hit print. Oh, text limit. Okay, let me make it longer. Cable wrap. Cable wrap. Let's make it just to here 3 inches. Text limit still. Damn. Okay. Sorry about the presentation effect. Let's go just like way longer. 3.2. Text limit still. Okay, that's okay. I changed it down to Omakase, and now let's see what it does. And this is the cable wrap setting. Oh, I made this way too long. Okay. Presentation effect. That's what I get for not testing this beforehand. Okay, please cut. So this is now a 3-inch cable wrap that says Omakase across the board. So now I could technically wrap this around and says Omakase across, which for example could make sense for really big cables, or in case you want to wrap it around something completely, or maybe along as a frame, like imagine it on the side of a monitor. The other things you can do is like a cable flag. So I set this to auto. I print a cable flag now just so you can get an idea of the different options you have. And the cable flag I actually used personally a lot as a homeowner too, to make sure I have everything straight, because what this does is this guy. So it says it twice, and then you can just wrap it around itself. So with the stickiness, you would very much do this. So the idea is that this would be inside of the cable. So now from either side, it says Omakase on either side. So this is the great thing about this. If you want to wrap it around cables, it makes more sense for stationary because of all the stickiness on the inside. but this is a pretty handy tool, and it runs on triple A batteries, I think, like, or double A's, like six of them or so. And then on top of that, you can get these cartridges, a 5 pack, maybe like $12, and that was probably gonna last you a year unless you're printing nonstop. So pretty useful. I can definitely recommend that if you have any sort of equipment and you want to make sure it doesn't get messed up with other people's equipment, especially if you go to LAN parties, if you have podcasting guests, if you have live streaming guests, if you're on the go. You can put your name on there, so at least you have some sort of possibility of recovering your equipment. So now I want to switch over to my game capture, so we're gonna lose the stream here probably for a moment, unless I can just override it. So let's hit that. Okay, I can't just switch it over because I have this stream going. I don't want to interrupt the screen, so instead I'm gonna show you what little bit about the equipment. And you know what, let's see if I can do this though. Here, share screen. Okay, let's do this. Application window, game capture. Perfect. Okay, so what you can see now is my my Elgato capture screen. So this is now recording from my Handycam, and the weird thing is that probably my audio and this is now unaligned, and that is because I haven't spliced the audio in properly, because the audio is just coming through USB. So looking at me is really strange. So let's look at other stuff so it doesn't look so confusing. So as you might be able to see, the focus is way better compared to my the Logitech, and it's much better focusing overall without having these delays where I have to wait for the autofocus. Especially if we go over here to the Xenix Behringer board. And the cool thing is I can just zoom in really far, like so, which then gets even ridiculous at some point. So let me go a little bit out. So, but sorry about that. So we can clearly go really far in here, and without having really quality loss. And the crazy thing about this is just a $200 camera. It's called a Sony. Here on the bottom, sorry about giving you motion sickness. It's a HDR CX, like custom X-ray 405. There are a few downsides to it, in my opinion, which is mostly in the compatibility. For example, if this was the new Panasonic I ordered, which is a 770 C, I think, HC for Handycam, so Panasonic HC V770, then you would be able to just splice in the audio because it has an audio input. So back to me a little bit. Well, yeah, take a look at my Zelda shirt in the meanwhile. So that as I said, the mouth movement is not throwing you off too much. So the interesting thing is if you use a Handycam like that, you get way better quality than any webcam, even the professional Logitech. And the reason is just because they have so much more processing power, so much more graphic processing power, built-in functionality, software, and everything else that just makes them superior when it comes to video recording. Now, the tricky part is to find the right one. As I said, this camera works definitely. You can see it works, but for example, I can't stream as easily with it. Of course, if I use the and you need third-party tools, like I have the Elgato over here. Oh, let me just flip my frame display again. So you have the Elgato card here, right? So what this does is it grabs the HDMI in from my camera over here. So this small, actually this is like the USB out. So the HDMI from my camera is coming in over here. So this is the HDMI coming in to the Elgato game capture card for my Sony. Then it goes over here to the USB, and from there it goes down into the PC. So that is what. So now I need this hardware translating piece in between, because this handy cam wasn't made for live streaming. However, with, for example, the Panasonic camera that I'm getting soon, probably early next week, the great features it has, and why it also costs $400 or $450 with the accessory kit instead of only $200 that this Sony camera cost, it has, for example, built-in compatibility with Ustream, which is a popular streaming platform to get your stuff going. And yeah, so you want to make sure you get equipment that works for you. And I'm gonna switch here back to my webcam really quick, because I want to show you something that Sony is lacking, that you would usually otherwise would want. Okay, here, back to live mouth movement. If you look at the side of the Sony here, you see it only has the HDMI out. And I'm gonna unplug that so you can take a better look at what's going on here. Okay, here we go. So again, I should have set up my boom. So here is the HDMI on the side. That's the only functionality you have on this. So I'm gonna really quickly here look up the Panasonic, so you can take just a look at the different plug options, and just by looking at that, you're going to realize really quickly on which Handycam is this up here model, just based on the versatility. Because when you're thinking equipment, you always should consider versatility. Yes, you might want to use it only in one specific way, but there's always so much more you want to do one day. So I pulled up here one. So let me change the screen again from this to sharing screen, application window, no, Microsoft tab, here we go. So as you can see here, this is a side shot of the Panasonic that I'm receiving soon. You can see how many more options it has. You have your movie and playback on the top right as the first option. You have a leveling function to pretty much help you auto level your footage. You have a Wi-Fi functionality. Obviously, you have on-off button. You have microphone input, like I mentioned, so you can synchronize your audio and video better, so you don't have this weird delay like you have by looking at me while listening to the audio, which is because the audio is being fed directly through one USB feed, and the video is coming through the Elgato game capture, which is translating the signal into USB first, which is why there's this latency delay. Then you have AV, which is actually you can use to get other audio video in there. And then you have your HDMI, which is your HDMI out, so you can get your audio and video out as one signal, and then that still has to go through a game capture card like the Elgato or a similar device, but that is now a synchronized signal if you feed the microphone in here first. And then you have the USB, which can be used for watching stuff or looking at pictures on a computer or gaming monitor, or it can also be used to charge the Panasonic, as far as I know. I'm going to learn more once I have the user manual in my hand. The other thing you might see is just a more sturdier battery pack in the back, which is dedicated, and an overall better zoom functionality. So again, I'm switching here back to the camera, where you can see again only the one slot of the HDMI out. So Just to recap here, what we went over here today is you want to get quality equipment that suits your needs. So you don't need to spend a whole lot of money. I mean, my equipment just get expensive because of a lot of trial and error. For example, if I had known from the get-go exactly what I wanted and what I can afford, I wouldn't have gotten the Blue Yeti. That would have saved me almost $200. I would not have gotten the Sony camera, which cost me $200. I would not have gotten a few other things, like some of the adapters or so I need to hack everything up and make them work. So I could have saved a lot of money to get the quality where I am at. I mean, I hope you can see that it's pretty solid quality, even though it's a Logitech camera. People love it, and this versatility and the quality is the reason why. The only downside that I have and don't like about the Logitech is there is no way to splice the signal in or out. It's just USB to the PC or laptop, and that's it. It's very simple and straightforward, which can help people that are not very technically inclined or don't want to mess around with a lot of stuff to get it right. And then there are other people like me that want to be versatile, and so it becomes annoying because I can't do anything with it. We went over to Sweetwater to have a really good supplier of cables and other audio equipment that you might need to get going. I mentioned the Elgato game capture card, which is like the go-to card. It's a USB device that gets an HDMI signal, which you can also use to capture a signal from your Xbox, PS4, PS3, Nintendo Switch, your PC. It doesn't matter. It captures any HDMI signal, translates to USB, and that allows you to stream it like what we did here earlier. And then last but not least, here's a price quick round. Is you might wonder why is the light so bright in over here and not overall. It's because of this guy. That is called a Flashpoint. It's a Flashpoint 13-inch, and I got it as a steal for like $50. And other things are called like Aura ring lights or ring light LED. Don't get LEDs. Try to get a fluorescent one. That's a fluorescent tube. So if you look closer, let me just show you again. So if you look closely, there's like a tube going along, kind of like these round fixtures that some people have, like that I actually have on my ceiling. So that's not just a regular light bulb. There's actually a fluorescent light ring in there. And the reason why you want fluorescent light, not LED, is because I can look straight at it like this and see how like I'm not squinting my eyes or anything because it's too bright. So it illuminates, it gives me light, it makes me look better without burning my eyes. LEDs are way more focused and concentrated, and you can't look at them straight for a long time, not without causing damages. So, the fluorescent light will definitely get the job done and won't hurt your eyes. And you still can look at it comfortably without losing your talk, which is especially great if you have your camera in the middle. So what I mean by that is that it actually has a camera mount. So let me show you really quick, because I found that one of the most amazing features that I've ever seen in this thing is here, this little adapter guy. You can actually attach a camera with a very simple and common adapter, which is called a cold shoe, on there. So then you have the perfect backlighting for a camera, which will elevate your live streaming so much more because people actually can see your face even in a very dark room. That really brings it to an end about here. Oh, we actually talked about free audio recording software, which is Audacity. On the live streaming end, you have so many tools, and in all honesty, you have to do some digging. I use Restream to stream on YouTube, but also the other thing you want to take care of is a lot of people are planning to become like a Twitch partner or Twitch affiliate. Well, the terms of conditions in Twitch states that you can't, or that you're not supposed to live stream your footage onto other channels at the same time. The terms and conditions from last time I read them said something along the lines of 30 minutes after your stream ended, then you can rehash that content and share it on other platforms. The reason is because Twitch wants to protect their exclusivity. They want to protect their brand. They want to protect pretty much like why people come to their platform. So if you use software like Restream that allows you to stream to multiple locations at once, be careful with Twitch and Mixer because, as I said, if you really want to become their affiliate or partner program and stuff like that as a live streamer, adhere to the rules, read the rules, and just don't break them. And sadly, it's in there that you can't just share your content across all networks. And these not 30 minutes after your live stream ended. That being said, thanks for tuning in. I hope you took various valuable lessons from this webinar. If you have any feedback, please feel free to reach out to us on Instagram, send me an email. So on Instagram, we are Omakase PCs. That's OMAKASE PCs. Or you can send me an email, Andreas, ANDREAS at omakasepcs.com. And I also promised to my Discord followers an exclusive code for our current giveaway. So we're going to do this right now. I just have to pull up my here generated custom code for you guys, and we go from there. So I'm going to post the giveaway in the description once the video is up. Also, I'm going to put it in the chat here right now. Just give me one quick moment. Erase enter, no, wrong button. Manage giveaways, there we go. So here's the code. Here is first the link to the giveaway. And just in case you wonder before clicking on the link, what we are giving away is a wireless headset from SteelSeries. And then on top of that, you can win either a PS4 controller, a PS4 Pro controller actually, an Xbox Elite controller, or a brand new SteelSeries keyboard, depending on what platform you play or depending on what you want. But you get a headset either way. And then again, either a PS4 Pro controller by Scuff Gaming, I believe, an Xbox Elite controller, or a SteelSeries keyboard. This giveaway is in partnership with Milgenix and my LGENIX, very entertaining live streamer, utilizing a Yeti snowball. I mean a blue snowball, which is like the little cousin of the Yeti here. Really cool little microphone. And let's get to that exclusive code for you guys. Manage giveaways, go here. Now, let me giveaway, edit. Sorry, just one moment. Steps. Here we go, secret code. Okay, the secret code of the day is Livestream OK, like Oklahoma. Livestream OK, I put it in here and the chat for you guys for convenience factor, and boom, there you go. So make sure to enter the giveaway to win a SteelSeries headset, PS4 controller, Xbox controller, or keyboard, depending on your choices. And yet that is a Scuff Infinity PS4 Pro controller, or a SteelSeries Apex 7 keyboard, or an Xbox Elite controller. So plenty of stuff to win, and you already won just by being here because you absorbed all this awesome knowledge. And I hope I see you again next Friday. And until then, game on, and make sure to follow us, subscribe to us, and like us on YouTube and Instagram. And see you next time. Thanks for joining us today.